So welcome to Transforming Chronic Pain into Personal Freedom. In this group, Feel Better, Heal Better, which is all about the relationship between your emotions and your health, but also so much more than that, your social and environmental factors, the physical factors, your spiritual, mental and emotional aspects, all of which lead to health or perceived lack of health in any time. And we're looking at these things from the perspective of meta health and other energy techniques. So tonight, really excited to be talking about transforming chronic pain into personal freedom. And before we start, I want to make it absolutely clear that if you do have any persistent or recurring pain, you need to get it checked out. Don't just wait for it to go away or hope it's going to go away. If there's something that keeps coming back, go to someone who can diagnose. We don't diagnose. You basically need to go to a medical doctor or someone who is qualified to diagnose in whatever way, if you're looking at your pain. And you know, both people who've got the machines and the ability to carry out diagnosis and who are legally allowed to diagnose as well. However, once you've got a diagnosis, you are free to basically look at as many different kinds of diagnostic kinds of solutions as you want to. And the beauty of meta health is that we look at the holistic side of things as well as the conventional side of things, and it's like a almost like an umbrella from above that allows you to look at all of these different solutions for you. So I'll just introduce myself quickly. My name's Sam Neffendorf, and I've been working with emotional health for people for about six years now. I've got a real interest in health and the relationship between mental, emotional and physical health, and I've been operating for over a year as a meta health practitioner. I've got some experience with dealing with ongoing pain, because actually when I was quite a long time ago now, but in my reasonably early 20s, I came down with something called reactive arthritis, where pretty much I had full arthritis symptoms, which is of course musculoskeletal pain, which is what this this live stream is about. And I went through quite a process, which I'll probably cover in another video. But I've worked with loads of people on, especially on musculoskeletal pain, including people with who have been experiencing arthritis and back pain, all sorts of things, and yeah, they get really, really good results. Now, I'm a bit disorganized today, it's fair to say. Many of you know that I've got a brand new baby in the house, which is amazing, but they've got a way of taking charge of the whole of everything that's going on. So yeah, if it does come across a bit chaotic, well, that's just me. I can't blame the baby for that one. So, okay, so pain is essential. It's an essential function in the body. Immediate pain is basically a warning sign that you need to get your hand out of the fire, or there's something going on that isn't good for you. And you know, even if that's acute pain that's going on, for example, dental pain, it could be a sign that there's something that needs to be resolved, like maybe fixed in some way. However, chronic pain or recurring pain is something different than this. These sorts of pain are these sorts of pain are basically continuing after the issue seems to be resolved, and so we need to look at them in a different way and try and work out what chronic pain is actually trying to tell us. And I'm going to come on to that from a mental health perspective in a bit. Now, what I didn't mention or yet, but really excited about, is I'm going to lead through a tapping process a bit later on using a simplified form of EFT, emotional freedom techniques, to actually work on pain in the here and now. So pain that you're feeling, it's not going to be something that you can use to get a permanent resolution from pain. In some cases it might and has been known to work in that way, but often you need to go a bit deeper and actually find the root cause. So yeah, that's what the mental health analysis is all about. It's about finding the root cause of whatever physical stuff, symptoms you've got going on. And so I'm going to cover a little bit about mental health in a bit. We'll look at what you can do to resolve your chronic pain for good by learning what the message is that is coming from your body and how to release that and just be clear of that. And we're also going to do that tapping process. So I'm just going to hold this up. This is because Facebook Live currently isn't quite high tech enough to be sharing screens and things. Got this healing cycle in mental health. Some of you might recognise this from before. Just very quickly, what we've got here is we've got normal health going into some sort of specific stressful event occurs, a specific kind of trauma, or an event which triggers a reminder of a theme or belief from earlier on in your life, which then puts your body into stress. Now, often during the stress period, you don't really notice anything going on other than you've got stress going on. Then around this page, it's called the regeneration trigger on here. This is when you might have some sort of acceptance, which could either be a good acceptance, like I'm not going to let that bother me anymore. It could be a less good acceptance, like a sort of, oh, I'm resigned to this now. I have to just put up with this. And then you go into regeneration. And in the regeneration phase, this is often, and certainly in pain, in 95% roughly of pain situations, pain is happening in regeneration. So after you've accepted something. And then you have a healing peak, like a healing crisis, known in, I guess, some holistic medical, holistic types of processes call it a healing crisis, but we call it a healing peak because it is actually a positive thing and it's like a stress test for your body before the second phase of regeneration, which is actually leading you back to health. So what's going on with pain, if musculoskeletal pain, if you're looking at all of the pain basically starts happening around this regeneration phase. Now, all musculoskeletal pain is a self-devaluation conflict of some kind. And there's, these things happen throughout life. They're not always a big deal. In fact, I'll just give you an example now of a self-devaluation conflict which many, many people put themselves through very regularly, often with some very good results in their life. Because these things they're not all disease processes. It can be a healing process as well. And the one I'm actually talking about is when bodybuilders or people who are doing some very heavy weight training are deliberately putting themselves through this cycle in order to increase their muscle mass. It's the biological function of the body is actually becoming stronger by going through one of these healing cycles. So what they would be doing is, you could say, so they're starting with almost a deliberate self-devaluation when they've made a decision that their arms aren't big enough or their chest isn't big enough or whatever. So they put their body into stress, and they're doing this by lifting heavy weights, as heavy as they can manage, as many times as they manage, until eventually they go into this regeneration stage because they start getting tired, they start feeling exhausted, but they still keep pushing through until they reach this healing peak. The healing peak is actually what bodybuilders are actually doing is they're tearing the muscle fibers, so that could be considered to be the healing peak, and that's generally when they reach that sort of tearing stage. They can't push anymore, and that's when they then go into this regeneration phase. The muscle fibers repairing, knitting back together, still feeling tired, feeling sore for a day or two afterwards, but then they return to not just back to good health, but hopefully, if they've trained well, they're actually taking themselves into, from their perception, a better state of health in terms of what they actually want in their life. So that's just showing that these cycles aren't always bad things; they're part of life, and that's a very although they don't think of it in this way necessarily, it's being very deliberately done by people in order to actually, by their perception, improve something in their life. But this isn't always the case. What's going on? There could be pain, chronic pain that's hanging about as a result of a specific stressful event or series of events, or belief system which is then triggered by an event later on in life. And in those cases, we need to look at what's going on. Now, chronic pain and recurring pain can be looked at quite similarly. The main difference is with chronic pain, someone might be stuck in this regeneration phase, and they can't get out of it. So they might have had some sort of acceptance, but they haven't moved. Although they've had an acceptance, they're still stressed by. They could still be stressed as well by the original traumatic event, and so they end up stuck in the regeneration phase, feeling constant ongoing pain. The other one, which is similar with recurring pain, is where people are going through this process over and over again. So they get triggered by a stressful event, they have an acceptance, they go into the regeneration phase, and they come through. So this could be recurring back pain. Oh, my back's gone, and then they come back through again, and then they, at some point again, whatever causes the trigger happens to them, and yep, away they go, basically. The chronic pain is when you're stuck in the regeneration phase at some point, and the recurring pain is when you're going through a stress cycle over and over and over again. I've gone through that very, very quickly just to give you an overview of what's going on. If you want more detail on the Meta Health Healing Cycle, you can find it on my website at eftnow.co.uk/meta, or you can also look at some of the other earlier live videos that are in this group, Feel Better, Heal Better, which will have more of a detailed explanation. So I just want to give you some examples of, so you've got something to kind of understand these self-evaluation processes and how they actually occur. So musculoskeletal system, depending on whether it is in your muscle or in your bones, not actually in the bones, but in the fine sort of nervous system that surrounds and is within the tissue very close to the bones, which is where we feel the bone traumas. Why is it self-evaluation? That's because this is your structure. It's the structure of your body. And so when you are feeling a devaluation or a low self-esteem in some way about yourself, then metaphor in your life is actually that there's something wrong with you, something wrong with your structure, and so it's reflected in the skeleton actually trying to tell you, or the muscles trying to tell you. If it's bones, it's normally, or if it's the bones, it's normally something very structural, very core to you, a strong self-devaluation conflict. If it's in the muscles, it tends to be a lighter, a more minor self-devaluation conflict. So, in the case of the bodybuilders we discussed a minute ago, they're not you know, they're not beating themselves up about this, but they, well, some of them might, depends on their training methods, I suppose, but they are really just looking at, yeah, it's a minor thing. They something that they want to be better about themselves. But yeah, the bone ones are very core, and the different parts of the body all have different associations. Now, what's interesting as well is that in that stress phase, put that out again, stress phase there, although you aren't necessarily feeling pain in most of the cases when you're during that stress phase, there is stuff still going on in the body, and it's often that the muscles are, or in particular, if we're looking at the bones are actually thinning. So people who stay in the stress phase for a very long time with a self-evaluation conflict can experience things like osteoporosis, for example, where the bones get very weak. But we're looking at pain tonight, and in particular with pain, it's in that recovery phase, and what's actually happening is that once that acceptance has happened, the bones are actually starting to repair themselves and grow stronger again. All of this is about becoming stronger. Every healing process is about becoming stronger in some way. Unfortunately, that's the painful bit. So some examples, like I said, all the different parts of the body have different associations. I'll give you 3 examples. So first one is the cranial bone, so the skull, and this is actually moral or intellectual self-evaluation, where you might have had an acceptance after feeling dumb and unintelligent. So remember, this is the second phase when the pain happens. I've got a simple example from my life when I was training to be an EFT trainer with Carl Dawson a few years ago, and I was at one of his trainings, supporting him and watching him, ironically, doing the session about bones and how to tap for pain, and he and I guess I would have been feeling up until that point, you know, in some way, oh, how am I going to be able to do this as well? He's really doing it very well. How am I going to be when I've got my first course, which I had already booked for a few weeks' time, which I was pretty nervous about. And then, basically around this stage, I started feeling that I could do it. And then suddenly I got something that I never get at all, which is a headache. It was like the only time I can remember having a headache for around the last 6 or 7 years was it in this stage. It was a massive headache right in the side of my head. And like I said, it's not actually happening in the bone because there's no nerves in most of the bone, but it's in the tissue around. There's a nervous system that relates to the bones. Of course, we were tapping there, so I was able to release it. But that was an intellectual self-evaluation conflict that I actually experienced, which was just went through that process, and then, yeah, well, maybe I came out of it feeling a bit more able, I suppose. So that was the healing that happened for me there. So another example is people with shoulder pain. Now, there's a way in mental health that we test whether you're experiencing this as a result of female or male perception and energy. Whether you're a man or a woman, you can have both female and male perception. And so when we're looking at different sides of the body, in this case, with shoulders, you would test whether it's for a female or male aspect. But shoulders generally relates to parent, partner, or child conflicts where you feel self-evaluation in some way. So typically not being a good parent, partner, or child, and then maybe on with a female or male aspect, which may relate to actually a female or male person in your family, your parent, partner, or child. It can also be feeling too much weight on your shoulders. A very literal metaphor there, but with all of these things, it's really key to find out what they actually mean for the person and then work on them in that way. So So parent, partner, or child. And remember, we're in the second stage, so you might have had some sort of acceptance. So quite common that these things can come about, after maybe after the death of a parent, and could be that you carried something with you that you'd never been able to express, and once you've got this acceptance that you're never going to be able to now, and this is one example off the top of my head, then that pain comes in and it can't be released because it's from your perception. There's no resolution to this. So even though you've accepted it, you've still got the original traumas are holding it in place. So without that knowledge, you can't go back to as far as you need to go to actually release the root cause of the pain. It could be you are feeling like you didn't, and I think all of us parents would feel this at some point, but we didn't handle a situation with our child as well as we could have done, and then you feel bad about it. And then perhaps when you have the acceptance that they'll probably still grow up all right anyway, and as Steve Wells, the EFT trainer, says, they can always work it out with their therapist later on. Then you might have that acceptance, and then some sort of pain might kick in. The other one I want to just talk about is the spine. So your spine is really, really core to you, and this is your central or core personality devaluation. So I'm thinking here, as an example, someone who's feeling pressure and weight coming down upon them in the workplace. So this is the worker who's been ground down, feels humiliated, defeated, guilt and shame that they haven't been able to provide better for their family, just feeling completely, at the bottom of the pile. And perhaps the acceptance for someone like that is that they've accepted their lot in life, and then suddenly the back pain kicks in, and that could either be a chronic condition where they're remaining in that state, or it could be that they're going through this cycle. Could be, for example, when the boss walks in, the stress happens. When the boss leaves, they go into this sort of healing recovery side of it. So there's some examples. Now, each part of the body, the hands, the legs, all got different aspects as well. Hips mean different things. Different muscles mean different things. So one thing that you can do is just think about what that part of the body means to you as a metaphor. And that could be a good place to actually start thinking about, why am I still carrying this chronic or recurring pain? But there are, in Meta Health, you can really be guided to find something a bit more specific, which is really sort of combining lots of research into what these different body parts mean for different people, as well as your own personal perception, and then looking back to find the root cause events which have led to you feeling pain in that way. So yeah, in terms of how to actually resolve pain permanently, you need to find this root cause, and that could be very far in the past, or it could be quite recent. But generally, the longer you've had the pain, the longer back you're going to have to start looking to find the root cause of this pain, whether it's recurring or chronic for you. So you're looking for specific meanings of the pain, and the themes of your life, so the beliefs that have led this to you to have self-devaluation at those specific events, and then in fact the specific trigger event. When does the pain happen? And remembering it's always after you've accepted, or 95% of the time it's after you've accepted something in some way, kind of bugger it moment, or right, well this could, or a positive acceptance. People often get ill or get pain after something really good happens in their life. That's because they've come out of stress and gone into and had a sweet moment of feeling really good, which can go on for a little while, and then suddenly their back goes or something like that. And it's like, oh, just as I went on holiday and I was feeling really relaxed, my back went. I got a cold. I was in bed for 3 days. So it does happen. We see it happening a lot for people. But yeah, so it's finding these specific meanings and the trigger events and then releasing them with really powerful and emotional processing techniques such as EFT, matrix re-imprinting. Some people do with hypnosis. So that the releasing part of it is very important. The other thing which is really key is then looking at the social and environmental factors that have led to this. So what's triggering it? Can you change that? Can you get a new job at this stage if the job is part of it? Are there particular people who are triggering it, and why are they? And then you can either apply EFT tapping to that and actually maybe change your relationship with that, or find a way of addressing the situation in a different way. So whatever it is that needs to happen to address this self-evaluation conflict can be done, and that's really where the meta health comes in. So finding the root causes, the key thing is, really, meta health is an analysis which can use this pain and really track back and find exactly what's caused it, the theme of your life. And I have to say, with musculoskeletal pain, anything from back pain through to rheumatoid arthritis, other things, the pain elements of things like fibromyalgia or ME, we don't really look at labels like that. In mental health, you look at the individual symptoms, but it's very, very quick and effective to find these root causes using this process. And so once you've done that, then you become much more powerful to get a permanent resolution to your pain. Body needs to catch up though, so it's not like often when you do resolve these events in your subconscious, you feel good and there's some pain relief, but the pain is still there. But of course, the body does still need to rebuild and go through the process, so it can take some time for the pain to actually go. So it's important to remember that, but you should know that something shifted and changed. Now, okay, we're going to get onto the tapping in a bit, which is going to be a tapping process. We're not going to look for root causes. Doesn't mean you won't get some great results, but if you have got chronic pain, this process is really about releasing some of the pain that you're feeling in the moment. And it's something you can use to support yourself on a day-to-day basis, and whether you get headaches, whether you've got back pain or pain in any part of your body, you can use this process to just release some of the pain. Now, remember what I said at the start of the video: if you have got ongoing pain, don't just hide it with this sort of process. Get it checked out. Make sure you do find out what it is by a registered medical practitioner, doctor, someone who is able to diagnose. But then, this is something you can try rather than just reaching for the painkillers. It's actually quicker than painkillers. I've been taking a painkiller since 2012 through knowing the chasing the pain technique from EFT. And the technique I'm going to show tonight it's adapted from that, but I'm going to use continual tapping and just to guide you through some things you might want to think about. Now, you can just watch it for the first time, and you can just go use this in the replay to work on any kind of pain that you're feeling. Use it over and over again, you can tap along, which is also very powerful. It's over to you. Now, if you are tapping and you're on your own, you have to take full responsibility for your emotional health. While there is lots of anecdotal evidence, an increasing body of scientific evidence that tapping does benefit people, and have there's no guarantee that it will work this way for you. And so you need to take full responsibility for your emotional health, and just be aware that it could bring up some strong emotional feelings. So you have to be okay for that. You have to be completely comfortable in your ability to look after yourself if you're going to tap. If you don't feel ready to do that, then I highly recommend that you actually work with a practitioner to at least learn the basics of tapping, even if it's just for pain management. Leads me to an important point. If you are dealing with pain or any symptoms, and you want to get to the root cause, resolve them, and really go into next year, into 2018, not feeling pain at the same level, or hopefully have it completely resolved, I've basically got 3 places left this year for people to work with me. That's one-to-one health coaching to find the specific root causes and release the energetic attachment to them, and look at a process to actually clear that. So if you want to actually explore that, I'm happy to spend 20 minutes with anyone who wants to just find out about that. But with everything I've got going on at the moment and my current schedule, I've just got 3 places left for the rest of this year. So you want to start next year feeling not just a big relief from pain, but think of the self-evaluation that might be involved in that as well. Just feeling really good about yourself. Then this is the first place that I've announced this. Just drop me a line, a message, and let's have 20 minutes and chat about that. And if you want to work with me, great. If not, no pressure. Found out what we do, that's cool. And but it's just available as a free consultation, basically. So, okay, right. So let's get on to the tapping. Remember, you take full responsibility for your own self. We're going to do continual tapping. So I'm just going to show you some tapping points you can use. Many of you will be familiar with tapping. Some of you might be the first time you've seen it. But we're stimulating acupuncture points, or points on the meridian system. I'm tapping too much on my head. I'm not congratulating myself. But this point is the crown point, top of the head, as it's known in EFT. And you do about 7 or 8 taps on each point. The eyebrow point, you can do both, you can do either, you can do fast, you can do it slow. Side of the eye, you're just moving energy around your body. So we're not doing anything specific at the moment, we're not tuning into anything, but I just wanted to show you the points that we're going to be working on, and you'll be continually tapping while you do this process, feeling free to pause and check in with yourself at any time. Top lip, bottom lip, collarbone point. You've got a couple of sort of dents just under your collarbone, so you can do one or both. There's a point just below your armpit, just in line with the bra strap, if you wear a bra. Across the wrist, stimulating all of the finger points. We can also do the finger points. Notice I've had a bit of a healing crisis. I've cut myself quite a lot, so there's something going on a meta perspective there. Cuts are generally seen as healing peaks. Could be that I've been breaking lots of sticks, but we'll see. I'll find out about that at some point. So you can also just tap like this, tap the finger points. You can do it two-handedly. Okay, so got the tapping points. Remembering to take full responsibility for your own mental and emotional health as you tap. So now let's actually tune into the pain that is present with you now. And what we're going to do is create a metaphor for the pain. So we want to get this feeling as physical as possible. So most people spend most of their life trying to avoid pain, but we're actually going to accept that it's there, feel what is. So if you're feeling any pain at the moment, I'm not, so I'm just going to make one up. But you've got to just, well, in fact, I don't even need to do. And what you need to do is tune into the part of the body that you're feeling the pain. So if it was a tooth, I'm going to say, for example, if it was a left tooth at the left bottom side of my mouth, you could just tune into your jaw there, tune into the place where the pain is, and start tapping slowly as you tune into the pain. And I want you to notice how that feels. So rather than trying to avoid it, notice if it's sharp, notice if it's dull, notice if it has a color, notice if it's two-dimensional, three-dimensional, how big it is. Just really bring all of your attention onto the pain. And just focus on that. Just focus on that pain. Just keep tapping while you focus on the pain. Oh, what I forgot to mention, very important, give it a score out of 10. So how intense is the pain that you're feeling right now? So give it a score out of 10 so you've got something to compare with. Now, as you're tapping, and just stop for a moment, just pause and take a deep breath. And just consider what level that pain is at now. Has it changed? Has it changed shape? Has it changed color? Has it moved? This process is called chasing the pain because it is, the pain does move when you're doing this. Now, in EFT, if it was traditional EFT, you would have been saying, even though I have this bright red, spiky pain, size of a ball, and you can say those words if you want to, but if you're just working on yourself, I really find that just focusing all of your attention on it is just as powerful. So keep doing, one thing you can do is keep doing rounds and see how far you get just by focusing on the feelings. The next thing you can do is focus on the emotions. So start noticing if there's an emotion attached to your pain. Like distress, it could be distress, it could be resignment, fear. Just tune into it. Just notice if that emotion is actually in the same place as the pain. Again, you can give the emotion a size, shape, color, location in your body, and just tap while you focus on that emotion. There's distress in my heart about this pain, for example. Just focus on that. Sometimes you might burp or something like that, which is a sign of energy moving. Just tune in and notice if just tapping on the emotion actually shifts anything. So take a breath. Now I'm demonstrating this. You might need to do this for half an hour or 15 minutes or whatever and to get any results, but just want to demonstrate the process. So other things you can do, other examples, is you can focus on the pain and see if any images start coming up. So anybody's face, anybody, a specific event might come to mind. Time something happened a few weeks ago that you've forgotten about, trod on a thorn or something like that. And you can just tap on the feelings that you've got around whatever it is. And again, we're not going to go too deep into the event. There's processes such as the movie technique in EFT or matrix re-imprinting that you can use to actually clear those specific events very, very thoroughly. But for now, just process on the emotion about events or the person who might be being a pain in your neck, for example, that you see their face when you think about it. Maybe it's a pain reminds you of an animal. Just keep going. Just focusing. You can go back to the feelings. Take a deep breath. So what I'm trying to show you is it's a very free-flowing, fluid version of tapping that you can do when you're working by yourself. You don't have to do rounds of EFT. You can certainly do that. I've got a video on my website of doing that with pain, just at eftnow.co.uk/EFT. But I like the very free-flowing way you can just continue and you can just notice pain move around your body, hopefully diminish. You might tune in and it might get stronger for a bit, but if you keep tapping, it's very likely that it's actually going to release in some way. So that is a simple tapping process for dealing with the pain that you've got going on a day-to-day basis. But as I said, if you do want to look at the emotional root causes and go deeper, great to look at it with an experienced practitioner, and especially with someone who does mental health. I've got a few spaces this year, as I said, so if you want to look at resolving pain or any other physical symptoms, then I'd love to help you with that. Now, I'd like to answer any questions that people have got, but for some reason on this live broadcast, it doesn't seem to be showing people's comments. So I'm just going to look somewhere, see if anything has come up. But no, it doesn't seem to be. So yeah, so okay, so any questions that you've got, feel free to post them under the video. The replays are going to be up shortly. I'll be monitoring them for the next day or two, answering any questions that come up. And if you are curious about exploring a deep and ongoing resolution to pain, then just get in touch. I'd love to support you. So that's me, Sam Neffendorf. If you aren't already a member, then join my Facebook group, Feel Better, Heal Better, where we'll be looking at all aspects of health and how you can actually support yourself to have more vitality and just live a more exciting, enjoyable and healthy life, basically in line with who you are and on your terms. So yeah, quite a long call tonight, but hopefully you found it interesting and useful. So, and I hope it supports you in resolving and releasing your pain. Over and out.